The opinions expressed by the Reverend are his own and no one else's on the planet. They are generally considered thought crime in all jurisdictions and are an inevitable victim of the cancel mob. You know it, I know it, but in the meantime, we're still here. They are coming from the heart. They are guided by the mind. They are guaranteed to kick your ass. Get ready to choke on that collective truth, cock, boys and girls. It is once again time for the Sunday sermon. Carry on board right away, and I know the old man is waiting in the wings. By the way, that book that you guys gifted me is fantastic. Let's give it all a drum roll. Here we go. Yes. In a fairly decent mood today, man. Got a lot of good stuff going on, and it's been a very productive and good week for the Rev in a state of mind kind of way and everything else that's going on. Once again, we're still getting the hang of the StreamYard thing. It's going on YouTube and the Facebook page at the same time. So I got a couple of tabs over here trying to work out, see what's going with what. Let me see here. There we go. All right, there's the second production tab coming up. So we're still working with it. I got Aaron on board, Ariella on board. Let me see. I got Joel. See if they're showing up. Yeah, man. All right, cool. So I'm getting the flow of this tab over here just to see where the comments are coming from. If they're showing up at the same time on YouTube and Facebook and everything. Still kind of getting the hang of it, man. I haven't done the only test that I did was with Aaron early on when I first got StreamYard. I did a test with Aaron just to make sure that we were actually live on YouTube. Now that we're doing the multi-streaming thing and I got the YouTube and Facebook channel, what it's showing here is that all the comments are showing up on both at the same time. So I'm looking at my tabs. I got the YouTube tab open, the Facebook tab open, and they're all showing up. So everybody's here on my StreamYard tab, and I got all the comments here, so I don't have to jump in between the three. So that's a good thing to know, man. It's a learning experience, man. This whole thing has been a work in progress from day one, and you guys have been really cool. Jeffrey Outlaw, glad you're back. Hey, bro, it's good to be back. Believe it. Brother James Pearson, good to have you on board. I got Emmy. Let me know how it's going, that search for that scout rifle. I am on the prowl right now. Brother Wayne Sharp in for the live show. Bullet 2 Tony. Holy fucking shit, man. How are you doing? Good to have you on board for this sermon. Got Brother Jude. I got G-Dub. Wish you had hung around Houston. Had something for you. Hey, G-Dub, I'm going to be coming through again. I'm sorry I didn't get back in touch with you. That was a complete oversight on my part. I did get your text message. It was a mad scramble, as it usually is when I come into town like that. But right now, we got Carrie and, of course, Roman. And we got Joel, Mr. Wright, the Mr. Wright, by the way, all aboard. We got Joel, we got Jeffrey Outlaw, we got Emmy, we got Wayne, we got Brother Jude, we got Rudy. Hey, how you doing, Rudy? Good to see you on board. The Cajun Queen, Carolyn Picard. Hey, man. Looks like we're coming out of it. Hopefully they're going to do something with the cruise ships to get you guys back on and active. But I know you, man, regardless of it, you're going to be out there touring and doing your thing. Listening on the drive-in, thanks, hon. Charlie, my beloved wife, my number one fan and biggest supporter. Jeff Truitt, you should hate me, brother. You should. All right, man. Damn, wow, man. We got a lot of new faces on board. Mr. Right now for the ladies. All right, hey, whatever works, man. I'm glad to have everybody on board. Glad to have everybody on board. This is a good thing, and I'm gradually getting the hang of it. Like I said, man, when this thing started, I was just doing it as a weekly rant session because, hell, man, it was cheaper than therapy, and it seemed to be working out for me. And we started out just doing a cam off my trusty Cat S41 phone, which they're not a sponsor, but I got to sing the praises of this phone because this thing, Caterpillar, the guys that make the big diesel equipment, they're contracting out to a company to make job site rugged phones, and this is about 2 generations ago. Their new ones actually have a forward-looking infrared camera built into it. They got a FLIR camera built into their new ones, and they're pretty top notch. I'm looking forward to getting into some of those. But this is the older one, the S41, and you could tell. I'll put this up to the camera. That's not a case, man. That is the freaking phone. It's waterproof, shockproof, crushproof. I can literally beat a man to death with this damn thing. Take some pictures and post them on Facebook, and then dial 911, all from the same unit. So if you guys are preparedness minded, or looking for something that's going to be rough and ready for the real world, looking for a phone, because most of my gear, like the laptop that I'm on right now, it's a Dell that was built for the military. So pretty much all of my gear is like, zombie apocalypse ready. So if you're looking for a phone that is going to be ready for Armageddon, look into Cat phones. And they're, like I said, their new generation even has the built-in forward-looking infrared camera, which is a nice little bonus. I don't have that on mine, but it's cool. Picture it didn't happen. Maybe Greg. We'll work on that. What platform does it use, Jeff? It is an Android phone. It's an Android phone. So if you're still part of the Cupertino congregation over there at Apple, it's probably not going to work out for you. Sorry to rain on anybody's parade. They are never going to agree to be a sponsor if you keep suggesting beating people to death with the phone. I don't know, man. I could probably get some brass knuckle and cudgel companies on to sponsor like that. Maybe Brett, who made it, driving to San Francisco for some crane work, Bay Area crane work. Brett. Wow. That's freaking cool. If they wind up needing some operators out there, I've got a story to share with everybody here. I don't want to say anything, and I'm not going to give out any specifics until I'm actually in the damn seat. But as it turns out, I was notified this week that it's about a 90% likelihood that I could be in a crane seat before the end of the week. It'll be in downtown Austin, close to where I am in San Marcos right now. So it will be, when and if it comes together, and again, fingers crossed, when and if it comes together, it will be a culmination of a very, very long journey in learning these skills. So, Brett, let me know how it works out there, because this gig here is going to run from like 4 to 6 weeks. And if you guys still need operators out there, I'll be around. Folks, remember to like and share this video. That's how it jumps up in the search algorithm. Thank you for the reminder on that, Carrie. Again, I'm kind of a slacker. I'm new to all this, but yeah, apparently, if you like and you share, whether on Facebook or on YouTube, particularly on YouTube, is my understanding, that it definitely jumps things up for me. So, as we're always saying, get out there and spread the gospel. Quick shout out, real quick, to my sponsors, my long-term sponsors. First of all, to Roman, Roxy, and Allie, and the bevy of beautiful women at opiumtales.com. And again, you can check them out at opiumtales.com or any of their social media feeds. It's a pretty cool gig to be able to paint pictures of beautiful women in various states of undress. It's good work if you can get it. And it was fantastic. I want to say in my visit to Houston, earlier this week, I got to do some catching up with Roman and his lovely wife, and it was a long overdue reunion, and it was good for my soul. That whole visit down to Houston this week was good for my soul. I had planned on going in Sunday. Anyway, look, finish the sponsor shout outs, and then we'll get off into all that stuff. And also my Viking brothers, Casey and Dusty Tellison, from Nordic Smoke Barbecue, the only legit barbecue in the Inland Northwest. And guys, if you haven't already, I want you to go over there and give a like to their Facebook page, because Dusty has started doing these little one-offs, these little video one-offs, and he's doing one or two of them a week. And it's sort of a Viking Tim Taylor barbecue thing that he's got going on, but they are entertaining as hell. And so definitely go check them out. Give them a like over on their Facebook page. And if you're in the Northwest, please, for the love of God, support them, because Inslee is one of those little bitch ass governors like Newsom who just won't let go of the lockdown until it is absolutely incumbent upon him to do so. So it's going to be that. George Williams, good to have you on board. Right on. Building lots of bathhouses, I hear. Yeah, possibly, Jeff, here in Austin. Austin, I refer to as Oh, you're talking about the San Francisco thing. Now they got more than enough out there. They got so many bathhouses out there that the whole scene is like spilling out into the street, and they're just fucking in public now. There's just there's no shame whatsoever. Any body of water or steam pipe or whatever, and two guys fucking in San Francisco is considered a bathhouse now. So whatever. God love them. Hey, vaya con Dios, man. Everybody needs a hobby, and if yours is swallowing swords, hey, who am I to judge? So there's that. Although it probably would apply to Austin too. Austin has taken a major downhill dive. For any of you guys that have lived here and been here, management promotion, managing North Texas starting April the 5th. Stand by, mijo. Brad, that's really good news. In fact, do me a favor, message me offline, because I definitely want that info. This. So so there's that. Okay, let me adjust one of the production screens real quick, one of the tabs that you can't see. God, it is so weird to me doing this, because again, we're flying by the seat of our pants here, and what you guys are seeing is this particular screen that I'm seeing. What you can't see is the 16 tabs that I have lined up across here, and how I'm switching back and forth between and clicking everything and making this work. So that'll be cool. By the way, I figured out how to do this now too, apparently. See that? Yeah, I can make comments appear on the screen. Again, it's just fuck, man. I don't even know what I'm doing, man. Just flying by the seat of my pants. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. Oh, hey man, we got Joey on board, the Sultan of Sarcasm. Glad to have you here. All right. So let's get off into this thing. What is going on this week? Well, aside from a phenomenal visit that was good for my soul and good for my mood and my attitude and everything else, and aside from the 90% positive good news that hopefully is going to have me in a crane seat by the end of the week, the rest of the world is the usual goat fuck. Sorry, but there it is. I want to go over a couple of things, and again, there's an overarching theme to this. Would love to hear your views on Harris County busting AMP and then claiming guys getting happy endings causes human trafficking. That's a subject for a whole other rant, G-Dub, and Houston has its own set of problems right now. Houston, man, wow, I've never seen a more gritty and grimy place try to become more like its little hippie fest in Austin politically. I've never seen it. I never thought it would fall that quickly. I mean, I knew that all big cities are sort of leaning left now, but I never thought Houston would take a dive like it's taken here in the past couple of years. It was fucking embarrassing just to be around that. And to see what gentrification has done for the whole fucking thing. A lot of California transplants that are moving in. And, again, I don't have a problem with Joe Rogan Californians. I certainly don't have a problem with Elon Musk Californians moving here, but the rank and file Californians, we need to have stricter border controls on those motherfuckers than we do coming from Mexico, as far as I'm concerned. Feel free. It's, you can try to talk me out of it, but don't waste your breath and my time, because it's not going to happen. Anyway, so for the rest of the world, major news event, they are picking a jury in the trial of Derek Chauvin, former Minneapolis police officer. You may remember him from that famous video where he kept a knee on an overdosing dope fiend's neck for almost 9 minutes. And set off riots that pretty much engulfed most of the world's most of America's major cities in flames, and everyone making excuses for people burning shit down and making heroes out of scumbags. That may be an unpopular opinion, but whatever, man. Unfriend me, walk out of my life. I don't care. I'm going to call it like it is. Yes, Chauvin was way the fuck out of line in his use of force, but let's not forget the subtle nuances that if they had been eating donuts and just failed to show up for 10 or 15 minutes, Mr. Floyd would have died inevitably of a fentanyl overdose. He had put a large quantity of fentanyl, which was possibly cut with carfentanil, up his ass. It's called hooping. And that was the first thing that he said on the unedited body cam video. You can find that. Anyway, not a time to rehash the entire George Floyd situation. What you need to know is that they are picking a jury in the Derek Chauvin trial. And because he was likely going to walk, because they went for murder. Manslaughter is pretty much a slam dunk, but when they went for murder, they knew that they weren't going to be able to prove that. So I think partially to appease the mob and partially to ensure that Chauvin doesn't walk, this week Minneapolis approved a $27 million settlement with George Floyd's family. Now, I can think of about three other cases right now that just that didn't have the benefit of a settlement. All right, I'm going to grit my teeth and not go down that road right now. What is frightening about this and what you need to take from it is what it amounts to is extortion. As part of the $27 million settlement, the city of Minneapolis basically contributed $500,000, $500,000 to the George Floyd Autonomous Zone, which is sort of an informal memorial homeless encampment for Antifa maggots that has been stationed in the burned out remains of Minneapolis pretty much since this whole thing kicked off. And again, the city just gave $500,000, $500,000, taxpayer dollars, to what amounts to an Antifa homeless camp. I mean, let's just call it what the fuck it is. An Antifa homeless camp where just last week a man was shot and killed, and shot and not killed immediately, died because police and emergency services could not get to him because autonomous zone, and therefore all cops are bastards, and we're not gonna let people in. You guys can do your own homework on it. It's a shit show. But regardless of how this comes out, this is not going to be one of those. This is not going to be one of those situations where hopefully justice gets done and everybody is happy with the outcome, and we can avoid another round of riots. No matter how this comes out, let's just be honest about this. No matter how this trial comes out, you're going to have riots again. And what makes it worse, and actually the biggest part of the reason that we're going to get riots again, no matter what, is that we have shown them. Yeah, right. Yeah, Tony, you already knew where I was headed. We have shown the mob that extortion works. We have shown the mob that terrorism works. We have shown the mob by throwing them scraps. And this is the thing. If you're being chased by a pack of hungry dogs, if you throw them scraps of meat in an effort to throw them off your tail, you have basically just ensured your own death. Why the fuck would they quit pursuing you if you have shown them that you're willing to feed them? And they have figured this out, that through media pressure and social pressure and local governments kowtowing, the mob, the maggot mob, have figured out that force and terrorism and extortion is far more effective than the political process. Peaceful demonstration, what we were assured were mostly peaceful demonstrations. We all know better because we have eyes and we have two brain cells to rub together. We saw how these people approached it. And what the city of Minneapolis is essentially doing is they're giving the family $27 million in the hopes of avoiding billions of dollars in property damage from another set of riots. What we are going to find out, and again, I'm gonna go on record here, and you guys can check me later if this turns out not to be correct. My theory on throwing the dogs some scraps in an effort to get them off your ass is just going to encourage them. If they got 27 million out of the city of Minneapolis just by the ominous threat of more fucking riots, what do you think is going to happen now that they figured out that tactic works? The city of Minneapolis did a stupid thing here. Number one, they're going to set up grounds for an appeal or a retrial for Derek Chauvin if he is found guilty. Why? Because the $27 million civil judgment before the criminal trial is going to prejudice the jury. There's no way he can get a fair jury trial if the prosecutors can go in and say the city of Minneapolis settled for $27 million. So clearly somebody must have done something wrong. If you guys have ever served on a jury and realize the depth of stupidity of your fellow man on those juries, that'll sell him. And Chauvin's going to Chauvin's going to be found guilty rather, but he's going to have grounds for appeal, or a retrial, or maybe even a mistrial. Who fucking knows? But Minneapolis threw $27 million at the mob in an effort to fucking staunch their pursuit. It's not going to work. It's just going to encourage them to flex again and do even worse property damage, and even worse fucking violence, and even more egregious acts against police and civilians. And it's going to encourage even more looting and all these other things, because they figured out that they can get their way if they scare enough fucking people. What are the three things? And we've said this before, whether we are referring to radical Muslims, whether we are referring to the Antifa maggot mob, whether we are referring to any of the low-life predatory miscreants that dwell on that social strata. What are the only three things? Come on, guys, you could say this with me by now. There are only three things that those people respond to. And what are those three things? Come on, put your hands up and say it with me. Fear, pain, and force. That's it. Fear, pain, force, nothing else. So throwing them meat scraps is not going to get them off your tail, Minneapolis. It's a bad fucking move, and you're going to pay the price for it. Actually, you're not. That's the sad part. You're not going to pay the price for it. Your local business owners, your local property owners, homeowners, innocent civilians who had nothing to do with any of this, whether on George Floyd's side or or Derek Chauvin's side. Those are the people that are going to pay the price for it. You are pusillanimous fuckwarts that are just giving away the fucking farm in an effort. And what you don't understand is that all you were doing is enabling and encouraging these predatory miscreant fucks. And, you're going to reap it. You're going to reap it. And unfortunately, I think a good portion of the country is going to reap it in one way or another. You're going to see riots again in Portland. You're going to see riots again in California. You're going to see riots again probably in Seattle. Anywhere the social justice maggot mob sympathizer contingent is present, you're going to see more riots. You're going to see more property destruction, and you're going to see a lot more innocent people being killed. Now, we're not going to get blackpilled over this, guys. This is just, this is, oh God, it's all over and America's in a downward spiral. It's circling the fucking drain. I don't want to hear that shit. Okay, I don't. We're in a bad time right now. We're in a bad time. We have to recognize that we're in a bad time, and we, as thinking, breathing creatures, need to take the proper steps to protect ourselves and to protect our loved ones. We need to develop skills, and we need to acquire tools. If you are not carrying on a regular basis, if you are not carrying a firearm on a regular basis, you are doing yourself and everyone around you a disservice at this point, because the maggot mob is growing, specifically because they're fucking being enabled. Specifically because they're being enabled, the maggot mob is growing, and the miscreants are being emboldened because they're realizing very quickly that there's no consequences. They're realizing very quickly that most district attorneys in leftist enclaves like Portland and Austin and San Francisco and Minneapolis and all these places, they're realizing very quickly that unless it's multiple homicides, they're probably going to walk. They figured this out, and they're being emboldened. No one is coming to save you, particularly not a demoralized as well as defunded police force if you live in one of these leftist enclaves. Jeff, as much as, hey man, as a former jury foreman, Jeff, I was there one time myself. I got picked as foreman of the jury because I was the only guy with two brain cells rubbed together. I legitimately dumbed myself down during the jury selection process, because I realized very quickly anybody that showed any semblance of independent thought was getting booted. So I had to play. I had to put on my best Grazer performance, which is, well, yeah, I guess I could be persuaded to believe that, Mr. Prosecutor. And then the defense attorney would ask a question. Well, I suppose under those set of circumstances, I could be persuaded to accept what the defense had to say. I had to fucking play that because I wanted to be on this fucking jury. It was an aggravated robbery trial, but that's something for another time. And I think I may have ranted about that on the sermon before. We don't need to waste a lot of time with it. Jimmy Hazelwood, glad you're here. Let's pop your comment on the board. Shawban will have a hard time getting a fair trial anywhere in the U.S. Personal biases on both sides. We'll see to that. You are absolutely correct in that. Hey, cool. That's another fun little thing that I can do. All right. Nice. Lance, good to have you on board. Okay, so moving on, guys, you should be carrying. You should be exercising something. Again, we've been over this before. You may want to learn hand-to-hand skills on some level. No particular endorsement for what particular system you may want to look into, particularly if you have no previous training. There's things that we could look into. Tony Blauer spear system, look it up. And there are plenty of and I hate that Big John isn't on board today. But we got James. And he knows where I'm coming from with this. That was the circle through which I met Mr. James Pearson as well. Big John hadn't been on for a while, and he lives like just down the road. I need to message him and get down to see him. He's in the San Antonio area, last I checked. Little liquid enthusiasm, boys and girls. Delicious. All right. Caffeinated lemonade, man. It's electric. So moving on. Let me see. Let's get away from Minneapolis and let's take a look at what's going on along our southern border. Biden administration is mobilizing the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is known for responding to natural disasters and other crises, to support an effort over the next 90 days to process the growing number of unaccompanied migrant children arriving at the U.S. southern border. Remember the kids in cages thing? Yeah. Now they're unaccompanied migrant children in temporary detention facilities that happen to be shipping containers with fucking bars on the windows. I mean, take a look. And they're also nearly 800% over capacity right now. I'm dying for the outrage mob to catch up to proper levels with regard to how pissed off they ought to be. But it's predictable. It's entirely predictable. Basically, Biden, as part of his campaign strategy, rolled out the fucking red carpet. And now Pandora's box has been opened, and they're outright wearing Joe Biden let us in shirts at the border. How fucking sad is that? How sad is that? That we go from a predecessor who was doing what he could to enhance border security, granted with some errors, few and far between, but granted with some errors, to people who are looking to break the law to enter this country illegally, many of whom are fucking documented convicted felons, and they're legit wearing the campaign logo of the winning candidate for the United States presidency. This is April Fool's Day is going to be difficult this year. Seriously. It's going to be exceedingly difficult to come up with a scenario that is so fucking absurd in light of everything that's really fucking going on. It's nuts, man. It's just absolutely nuts. But yeah, they're sending FEMA down. They're sending FEMA down, and they're calling it a humanitarian crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis of our own fucking making. Look, however you feel about the nature of the suffering of this group or that group, Jesus Christ, man. However you feel about it, you have to admit that the border policy, as far as the sheer amount of suffering that it was created, was far less under his predecessor. There's no way that any reasonable human being can deny that. There's also the irrefutable fact that a nation that doesn't have borders doesn't have sovereignty. Sorry. If everybody that wanted to, and again, and this is the counterpoint that you can make to the social justice mob. I don't give a fuck how badly you want to piss on this country and talk about how shitty and oppressive and racist and fascist and every other fucking thing that there is. You know what? We're having to build walls to keep people out, right? The system that the left proposes was alive and well during my school days in middle school and high school at the end of the Reagan era. It was called communism, and they had to build walls to keep people in. So shit on this country if you want. We can't let everyone in who wants to be here because we're so god fucking awesome that everybody wants to fucking be here. Piss all over it, shit all over it, talk shit, slag it, slag our system, slag our economy, slag our people, slag our fucking attitude. We can't stop the sheer number of people that want to fucking be here. But I don't know you, so I don't know you. Is that a shitty way to be? Well, what's the alternative right now? Because right now we've got detention facilities that are 800% over capacity, that are filled with kids that aren't eating, that are only allowed to shower once a week. So if you want to play the horrific things being done to children card that we got to hear for the last fucking 4 years, where's all that outrage now? Where is it? Where is it? Because you can say what you want. First of all, it was the Obama administration, including Joe Biden, that built those cages in the first place. And second of all, once we get into the nitty-gritty of it, under the orange man, for all his fucking flaws, that poor bastard, inarticulate buffoon with the big fat clown shoes, for all of his fucking flaws, it was never this bad, ever. But what do we hear from the press? Fawning fucking adoration. And that's going to be, and we're getting to that. That's the last of the bullet point tabs that I'm going to get to. But yeah, they're setting them all down there. They're turning FEMA loose for a problem that we fucking created. Speaking of things that are of our own making, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. This is from NBC News. You guys have followed the Sarah Everard affair in London. A woman walking home alone was abducted and killed brutally. Turns out the person they've arrested happens to be a cop. And lo and behold, there is some righteous indignation. You may have heard earlier that, and in fact, I'm sure that you've heard earlier when I posted that with that particular situation, there weren't enough fuck yous to go around. And I stand by that sentiment. I absolutely stand by that sentiment. Okay. There just aren't enough fuck yous to go around with regard to that situation. First and foremost, the fuck you that I want to get off of my chest right now is they're living in nanny state Britain. I don't know if you're aware of this, but had Sarah Everard been carrying a can of pepper spray, the penalty, had she been caught carrying a can of pepper spray to defend herself, is the same as if she'd have been caught with a gun. That's how ridiculous things have gotten in Britain. But beyond that, God, and again, just not enough fuck yous to go around. Fuck you to the nanny state for not allowing women the means to protect themselves. Hell, man, if she would have protected herself against this assailant and gotten out of the encounter successfully with a minimal amount of injuries, and there were any injuries to her assailant, fuck it, she might be on trial right now. That's how crazy things have gotten in the fucking UK. But again, the lack or absence of realistic priorities goes about 6 different directions with regard to this. Yeah, we're upset because a white native-born British cop kidnapped and murdered a woman walking by herself. Yeah, man, that's grievous. That's fucking horrible. That's the ultimate betrayal of the civilian population by the system that's supposed to protect them. It's absolutely fucking horrible. Where was all this attention and outrage for years and years and years of Muslim grooming gangs, Muslim rape gangs operating in the UK? Where was the outrage? Where was it? Certainly not from the media. You didn't hear it. It was crickets. Ask Tommy Robinson. That worked out. Ask Tommy Robinson what happens when you publicize the realities of a situation that happened to not work with their particular narrative. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. For the love of God, man, we're talking about young women being kidnapped, groomed, raped, killed. It's a pig fuck. Nobody wants to look it in the face. What's your solution, Pollyanna? Just teach men not to rape. Oh, fucking brilliant. Because in the entire history of Western civilization, I know when I was growing up, I know from kindergarten on, nobody ever taught me that fucking rape was a bad fucking thing. Nobody ever even suggested remotely to me that rape was one of the most morally reprehensible acts that one human being could commit against another human being. Nobody ever told me that. Fuck, man, it never occurred to me. I never saw any public awareness campaigns, any fucking billboards, any social pressure, never read any articles, watched any ABC after school specials or any fucking movie that's ever been on Lifetime. Never saw it. Never occurred to me. Fuck, man. You know what? Until I heard it this week, just last Tuesday, I was thinking about going out and doing some serious raping. Yes, sir. Boy, thank God the British press was there to say that we need to teach men not to rape. Who knows what could have happened? My God. I mean, this is the point that we've gotten to. Once again, what's the big 3, guys? Bullet to Tony, if you're still on board, you already know. What are the only 3 things that rapists and similar predatory miscreants, subhuman motherfuckers, what are the only 3 things they respond to? Say it with me, boys and girls. Fear, pain, force. That's it. Unfortunately, in the UK, they've removed the fear because there's no accountability. There may be for this guy because he's a native-born Brit and a police officer. There may be some accountability, and there fucking well better be. Pain? What pain? They know you're unarmed. Delightfully enough for these scumbags, the law doesn't apply to them because the law only applies to the law-abiding. So the likelihood is they have a weapon and you don't. So there goes the pain and there goes the force. Without fear, pain, and force, this is going to continue. UK, hopefully, you'll learn a lesson. We're going to hope. I don't really hold out a whole lot of hope for it, but hopefully it'll work. Here's why I don't believe that it will. This same week that they are expressing righteous outrage at a woman being kidnapped off the streets and killed by a London police officer, we are told, courtesy of the Sun newspaper, you guys may or may not have remembered this from going on 5 years ago. A nanny, a British nanny, I gotta just sip. This kind of shit wrenches my guts. Because because I can't put hands to them. I know a lot of y'all feel the same way. Unlike a lot of other people that'll dress up their sanctimony and it's okay for us to be violent because our hearts are in the right place. I don't even pretend that my heart's in the right place. I just know that I'm human, and this sort of shit elicits a very visceral reaction from myself and from like-minded individuals, many of whom are gathered here for the sake of the sermon. But about 5 years ago, a British nanny took the 4-year-old child that she had been assigned to care for. She took a 4-year-old child and cut off her head. She cut off the child's head. A 4-year-old girl. Her nanny, wow, what could have been the motivation for such a thing? Well, I'd hate to cast aspersions or assign probabilities, but I think it's pretty clear when she chopped the head off a 4-year-old child. And what was she screaming? When she ran through the streets holding the child's head up like a trophy, holding the head, severed head of a 4-year-old girl, holding it above her like a trophy. What was she screaming? What would be some indicator of what could have been her motivation? Fuck the racist UK? I don't know. Fuck white privilege, something. No. I'm sure that's what they'll blame it on. I'm sure the apologists will be very quick to assign blame to that motivation, because that will enable them to avoid addressing what she was actually screaming. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Carrie. I was waiting for the first proper guess. Holding the severed head of a 4-year-old child, screaming Allahu Akbar over and over and over again. You guys can look it up, any of the details. In fact, the article from The Sun, which is a UK newspaper, very left-leaning, actually, The Sun's not so much left-leaning. I take that back. That was an improper characterization. I apologize for that. But you can look it up from The Sun or any fucking media source that you want. Pick the one that fits your narrative. If you don't want to believe this one. Nanny from Hell, outrage as depraved nanny who decapitated girl 4 years old and took her head into the streets. Now here's where it gets really fucked up. She's about to walk. She's going to be released. She never did time in an actual penitentiary. She was committed to a mental institution. That's right, boys and girls. I'll say it again. This bitch, this subhuman, savage, predatory, miscreant fuckwart. We're not dealing with human beings here. You can take issue with that as much as you want. I will not assign this kind of bestial behavior to my fucking species. I just won't. I won't. This woman is not human. I don't care. You're free to disagree, but you're fucking wrong. Back in 2016, a court ruled that the woman was mentally ill and should be locked up in a secure psychiatric ward. But she has now been cured of the chronic psychiatric disorder that led her to kill the child and parade her head, it is claimed. The release plan has sparked a backlash. I'm actually shocked at this, considering the UK. Sparked a backlash with critics questioning whether the nanny poses a risk to society. Well, gee, you think? Regardless of if her so-called mental illness has been so-called killed, it's been so-called cured. This is one of those things where I don't care that you're better, bitch. You still got to go. You still got to go. At the very least, your ass needs to be locked away from fucking civilized humans for the rest of your natural fucking life. And I hope that you die cold, alone, and in fear. Truly. But if that's, that not being the case, hey, what goes around comes around. I'm sure there are some long knives left in the UK somewhere that haven't been confiscated by the police. Turnabout's fair play, bitch. The release plan has sparked a backlash. Footage of the horrific incident showed her clutching the severed head before it fell from her hand and rolled along the pavement when she was overpowered by police and bystanders. I want to paint this picture for you if I haven't made it clear enough already. Yeah, right. God is great. Yeah. And because that's the way the media would say it. Yes, she was running through the street screaming, God is great. Just sort of not mentioning that she was screaming it in Arabic. Yes, that is exactly it. Yeah, good Lord. God is great, but in Arabic. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Emmy, I'm with you on that one. Emmy, I'm totally with you on that comment. I hope all these are showing up down at the bottom like they are on my production screen here. It's kind of still, but I want to paint this picture for y'all, man. I do. She sliced the head off a 4-year-old girl, walked into the streets, parading around, holding the thing over her head, screaming Allahu Akbar until she was tackled by police and bystanders. And then that little girl's head went rolling down the street like a little fucking, like a piece of produce, just cast off to the side, rolling down the fucking street. That's a dead 4-year-old girl. And here we are, 5 years later, 5 years. 5 years. I know people popped for possession of drugs. I literally know nonviolent drug offenders that do more time than that here in the United States. That's where the UK is. I wonder if the native-born Brit, the white guy, the cop that kidnapped and killed Sarah Everard, I wonder if he got the same attorney. I wonder if they would even entertain his plea of psychiatric illness and commit him to a mental institution for 5 years and then say he was cured and then fucking turn him loose. What are the odds, people, huh? Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody want to take a guess what the odds are that he would be treated with the same kid gloves that this child murdering pig is being treated with? Do you suppose? I'm thinking no. The fuck do I know about the UK, right? I'm one of those angry Americans with a case of toxic masculinity. But yeah, a case that shocked the world. She killed the child, brandished her head. This fucking thing going on, by the way, this fucking thing is this is pretty despicable, and it's world fucking wide. From the cop case in the UK to the 4-year-old severed head in fucking Moscow, this is a worldwide phenomenon. But what you have to take into account is that it's all being steered by one thing, and that is the press driving the narrative. The press driving the narrative, which leads me to my final bullet point for the day. I don't know if you guys caught it. Allah is greater. It's a statement that their God is greater than, oh, okay, cool. Greater than the God of the Christians and the Jews. Cool. I mean, dude, I appreciate the clarification on that. I mean, it still winds up with the same net result, but yeah, I mean, I do appreciate the clarification for context purposes. Everything is being steered by the press, boys and girls. Everything is being steered by the fucking press. If you guys caught on the Reverend Bart page earlier. Reverend Bart's Read of the Week. Matt Taibbi, who consistently fucking impresses the shit out of me with his insight and his analysis. And I don't always agree with Matt. He has been left of center on some things, wide left of center on some things with which I took issue. But Matt's a solid reporter, and you know that when he speaks it, he's not being a shill from one side or the other. He's a lot like Greenwald in that aspect. If he's saying it, it's a conclusion that he came to righteously on his own with his own analysis of the facts at hand. And Reverend Bart's Read of the Week this week was an article that he wrote. He's over on Substack now, which, by the way, if you guys are interested, you should check out Substack. A lot of the really good writers have gone there. Taibbi is over there now. Any serious journalist is leaving the mainstream media now, and Taibbi is no exception. I think he still writes occasionally for Rolling Stone and some publications like that, but as a general rule, he's sort of branched out alone. A lot of independent journalists are doing that. They're going to places like Substack, and again, God damn it, that would be something. I wish that I could do that. Let's see if I can do that, shall we? Hey, wow, I can do that. Okay, I just learned a new trick. Substack, you want to check them out. Let me see what else we got. Quillette. Ha ha ha, bang. Boom. You want to check them out. Okay, that's just another little toy that I'm playing with. I'm figuring out how these things work on the fly. Let me just hide that comment again. You want to check out organizations like that. You want to check out organizations like Medium. You want to check out Quillette. I think Quillette is still donations. I don't think they've gone to a subscription model yet. Substack is subscription. But if you want legit information now, if you want legit journalism now, guess what? You're going to have to pay a little bit for it. And honestly, when you think about $5 a month, I think it is, to subscribe to some of those people on Substack, particularly guys like Taibbi, who's every bit worth it. What's $5 a month? $5 doesn't even buy a pack of smokes anymore. Not even fucking generics, let alone what I smoke. So it's definitely worth it. But Taibbi, again, I say all that to say this. He collects Soviet newspapers. He has a copy of Izvestia's celebration of Yuri Gagarin's flight, Pravda account of a 1938 show trial, and even an ancient copy of Ogonyek with Trotsky on the cover that someone must have taken a risk to keep. He actually collects old Soviet newspapers. Some of you guys, in fact, a lot of you, sound off anyone here who was born before 1975. Anybody here that was born before? I tell you what, sound off anybody who, just say me, if you remember the Reagan era with any sort of like clarity. I don't mean like you were an infant in a crib and you vaguely remember that there was a president who was a psycho cowboy who talked like this. If you vaguely remember it, you don't count. I'm talking about people who like clearly, like lucidly remember the fucking Reagan era. There you go. Cool. Carrie, G-Dub. Yep. So what you will remember, Rudy, good, right? So you guys are around for this. What did we know about Pravda and the Soviet press at the time? We knew that they were totally controlled, right? We knew that James, of course, Joey, Joel. I wasn't going to out you guys, but cool. Thanks, thanks for confirming. We knew that Pravda and Izvestia and any of the Soviet news services were controlled propaganda. In the same way, Carolyn, of course, in the same way that we knew, in the same way that we know now that RT is controlled. It's Russian state-sponsored media. We know that there is the heavy hand of narrative control on that. But I'm going to refer you to this. And I always, please, guys, if you remember it, and I don't know why it has slipped my mind, and I don't know why it slipped out of my reference notes. I cannot, for the life of me, remember the source of the quote. I always misattribute it to a fellow by the name of Dmitry Orlov, who does cluborlov.com. It's a blog on, the collapse of the Soviet Union and how it reflects in the imminent collapse of the United States, this, the other thing. It's a good blog. It's worth checking out. I always misattribute the quote to Orlov. It's not actually Orlov. But what the quote was that the one advantage, true, James, the one advantage that that we had being a part of the Soviet Union. Again, this is the quote. He said, the advantage that we had of living under communism is that we knew that our press was entirely controlled. We knew that we were being lied to. We knew that anything that was printed in a newspaper or broadcast over radio or television was a lie. It was a lie in the service of the presentation of the official power narrative. We knew that. There was no illusion. And the person who made this quote goes further to say that the disadvantage that you have as Americans is that you mistakenly believe your press to be free and unbiased. Now, nobody here believes that. None of you out there believe that. None of this crowd believes that. I mean, unless you're watching on YouTube and you just stumbled down a rabbit hole and you haven't had the good sense to turn my fucking show off yet. None of you guys out there believe that. If you look at poll after poll after poll, their credibility is slipping and slipping and slipping. But the people that are still on the left side of the narrative, they believe it. Lock, stock, and barrel. Remember the title of the article that I posted as Read of the Week. That title is The Sovietization of the American Press. If you haven't read it already, go to the Reverend Bart page and read it. Reverend Bart's Read of the Week. He calls out some of the things that he saw go on in the Soviet press. Let me see. Other ideas were not represented except to be attacked and deconstructed. Also, since anything good was all good, politicians were not described as people at all, but as paragons of limitless virtue. 95% of most issues of Pravda or Izvestia were just names of party leaders surrounded by lists of applause words like glittering, full-hearted, wise, mighty, courageous, in complete moral political union with the people, etc. Some of the headlines in the U.S. press lately sound suspiciously like this kind of work. See if this sounds familiar, boys and girls. Biden stimulus showers money on Americans, sharply cutting poverty. Dear leader, if that ain't some Stalinist shit. Champion of the middle class comes to the aid of the poor. My God, you would expect that doddering cadaver to be staggering around wearing a cape and yet still unable to read a teleprompter. Biden's historic victory for America. The double standard, you know what? I could go on. I could go on for 2 hours on the nakedness of the double standard, but I'm not gonna bore you with that. What I'm going to tell you instead is that these are the critical points of reference for that double standard. We saw it for 8 years under Obama, the fawning of the press. And you know what? I got to tell you, even under Obama, it didn't approach this. It was nowhere close. And I didn't feel nearly as insulted with Obama in office because at least Obama was coherent. Literally no one with two brain cells left to rub together looks at Biden and thinks anything but, holy shit, he's on his last leg. The man is a shell. He's a husk. He's a fucking cadaver. He cannot read a teleprompter. He can't string a sentence together. They prop him up. They don't let him take any questions. This is the most stage-managed presidency in the history of the United States. I cannot determine whether or not the people on the left legitimately believe this izvestia fucking Pravda propaganda or if they're just playing along. It's hard to know where one ends or the other begins. But going forward, I'm going to suggest one thing to each and every one of you. Be aware. Make yourself more media cognizant. Be aware of the way that they are stroking the narrative. Be aware of the way that they are coloring the truth. And be aware of the way that they are controlling stimulus and perception. Because humans are wired one way. Humans are wired one way, and that is stimulus response. And as we know, perception is 9/10 of reality. With these media moguls and the reach that they have, literally now, to the extent of shutting out nearly all other voices, he said, live streaming on 2 social media platforms. We're not totally out. We've still got the tools available to us. Use them. Use them. And the number one tool that we have available is not this screen that you're looking at right here, and it's not the Facebook app that you have open or the YouTube tab that you have open. It's not that. It's this. It's our voice. The power of the spoken word cannot be understated, particularly when it is coming through the mouth and the mind of an educated human being. So use those tools while we still have them. Because if we give it up now, they control the stimulus. So by default, they control the response. And if they control the perception, God forbid, they will be able to dictate the very nature of what is perceived as reality. I am the Reverend. That is the gospel. We're about 2 minutes over time right now. I appreciate that. I got to point out that FDA, Joel, let me just tag that. I want to show that one because, yeah, he was literally propped up, but he was coherent. And you know what? I think we may steer next week's sermon in that direction, and we might do a little bit deeper dive on this, spend a little bit less time on the news. Hopefully it'll be a slow news week, and we can do a little more of a spiritual deep dive on that. But Joel, yeah, I appreciate that. And you're spot on. Guys, I appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate your patience as I learn the software and I learn the platforms. I appreciate most of all just the fact that you guys show up fucking week after week to watch a fat old cripple rant and rave and vent. Again, it's dude, it's not only cheaper than therapy, but it's better than therapy for me. And hopefully anything that I have to offer is going to at least open your mind a little bit, maybe shape your worldview, maybe give you a perspective that you hadn't quite thought of. I'm not looking for sycophants. I'm not looking for yes men. I'm looking for thinkers. I want to make you a more effective thinker. And if anything that I do, and again, like with everybody else, and I give it to anybody that says that their way is the only way, fucking walk away. That includes me. That's why you're not going to hear it. I'm not a guru. I'm just here to express an opinion, maybe shape your way of thinking a little bit, and get a lot off my chest, because again, this is my therapy. Anyway, if anything that I did helps, if you got a little bit of comment, pass around the digital collection plate. If anything helped, you want to drop a couple of coins in, I'm on PayPal, I'm on Venmo, I'm on Cash App, I'm on Facebook Pay, I'm on all the big ones. Ask me if there's one that I haven't heard of and you don't see me on there. Ask me, I'm probably on it somewhere. But even if you can't drop any coin, or if you're not up to it, or if you want to just drop me a comment that says go fuck yourself, dude, I'm up for that as well all the time. But most importantly, with regard to everything, and we say this every week because we mean it, most importantly, get out there and spread the word. Again, this is the powerful tool. This, your thoughts expressed through words to other people's ears. Do that. Use that tool. Get the word out. Have face-to-face conversations with people. Again, power of the spoken word cannot be underestimated. Going out as usual, some clutch, fortunate son. And always remember, guys, be the signal, not the noise. Be the light, not the darkness. Be the light in the darkness. And most of all, be that strength. Boom. In a world full of weakness. Yeah, old man likes to flex a little bit. Be that strength in a world full of weakness. Hold it together, guys. We will see you next Sunday, roughly the same fucking time. Hopefully things will be getting a little bit smoother. Every week we try to build on it, man. Good luck playing Crane, man. Next week, my friend. Thank you, Brother James. I appreciate you. Oh, man, all of you guys that showed up. Look out for yourselves. Look out for each other. Do something this week. Here's your homework assignment. Do something this week to make yourself a little bit better. What do you mean? I mean exercise. I mean getting out, learning a new skill, reading a book that's been sitting on your shelf for a while you've been meaning to read. Just something to improve your life. Because we can lament the way the rest of the world is all fucked up all the time. But if we're not doing shit to improve our own lives and our own worlds, then we're not going to be any help when the time comes anyway. So at some point this week, man, lock in a new exercise regimen. Read a book. Jordan Peterson's new one just came out. Check that one out. Make yourselves a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit harder to kill. I love you guys. Peace. See you next Sunday. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you, man. Love you all. Peace.